Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. Another paid request, this time for Joseph. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos or topics, reactions, commentaries, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both things are down below in the info box. I will get to as soon as I can. And this is for the 1986 film Running Stairs, starring Billy Crystal, Gregory Hines. And you have a great cast. You got Joe Pantoliano, who's in the Goonies and the first Matrix film. You got Jamie Smits as your main villain. Jonathan Grease, who was the werewolf in the Monster Squad. Steven Bauer, who is Starface, Al Pacino's buddy in Starface, Tony Montana's buddy. The captain is played by Dan Hedaya, who was one of the bad guys in Commando. He's the one Arnold did the Tucker roll and shot him through off the damn balcony or whatever. A lot of recognizable people in this. And it's directed by Peter Hyams. Now, Peter Hyams is a director that I always thought was an... excuse me. I always thought was an underrated director. And I always thought this is a guy that had a really nice track record. Where I looked at 2010, the year he made Contact. I think it's a very worthy sequel to 2001. This is a fun buddy cop movie. And then throughout the years he did Stay Tuned, entertaining John Ritter comedy, Time Cop, very fun Van Damme movie, End of Days, one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's more underrated films in my opinion, The Relic, really solid monster movie. So you've done a lot of films I've quite enjoyed. Narrow Margin, very good thriller with Gene Hackman. And speaking of which, for I understand, the original idea was to hopefully try to get Gene Hackman and Paul Newman as these old retiring cops, but they didn't want to do it. And anyway, Peter Hyams said, well, let's make a younger cops who... they're not retiring yet, but then they get some money because one of their aunts passes away, gives them $40,000, and then they're a bit tired getting shot. They're like, hey, you know what? Maybe we should quit and give her a 30-day notice. Meanwhile, Jimmy Smits is this dealer of drugs and Uzis and all sorts of stuff that they're trying to stop. Joe Pantoliano works with Jimmy Smits, but he's also gets fucked with by Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines almost on a daily basis. Jonathan Grease and Steven Bauer, they're undercover cops, and then our two leads are tasked with helping try to train these guys. I would say, number one, it uses the location Chicago fairly well. May have it take place during the winter. Billy Crystal, this is one of the first times he got to be the lead. I thought it did a really good job. It showed that he had the capability of being a star, which will later be showcased in films like When Harry Met Sally and City Slickers. And I wish Billy Crystal did more films like this in the action comedy genre. I think he pulled it off well. He had great chemistry with Gregory Hines, may he rest in peace. He had some good improvs and felt natural in front of the camera. You know, little asides like making fun of Joe Pantoliano's hair. His hair looks like a parakeet. Or there's a bit where he's trying to call someone. He's pretending to be this old person watching Jeopardy. And you tell Gregory Hines looks like he's ready to bust up laughing. And like I said, the two just have wonderful chemistry. Like there's a bit where Jamie Spitz has a hostage and wants them, to throw their pants down so that they don't have any weapons to conceal. And so Billy Crystal throws it and it misses. And Jimmy says, "Stop fucking around." And Gregory Hines like, "You did that on purpose." What? I just threw my... And then he gets mad at Jimmy Spitz. "I just threw my pants too. I can't help it if you can't catch." And they get shot at. Or there's a bit where they're in a vehicle and the bad guys have this garbage truck to grab it and flip it over and they're stuck upside down. and they start arguing. It's like, hey, you know what? You owe me $10. And Gregory Hines like, you want it now? And there's a beat, and then Billy Crystal goes, yeah, sure, I want it now. So these two worked very well together, and they didn't seem like typical leads for this type of movie. Right, Gregory Hines was known as a tap dancer that was getting bits in movies, Wolfen, which honestly was the best part. He should have been the lead in that. If it was, and not Albert Finney, who was, I'm sorry, Albert Finney, Albert Finney was boring as shit in Wolfen and hurt that film a lot. Gregory, if you put Gregory Hines as the lead, who had charisma and a sense of humor and timing with that, the comedy bits he had, would have been a much better movie. But Wolfen became a boring as fuck film. Hate that movie. But anyway. But if Weinstein and Peter Hyams saw him in Wolfen, I understand, like, hey, I see potential in this guy. And it's one of those movies that when there's other buddy cop films I do enjoy more. Tango and Cash, I Come in Peace, Split Second, Lethal Weapon, among others. Bad Boys films. But the film has a good assortment of little quirks that make it unique to its own. Where these cops, they're like I said, they're natural to each other, they're undercover, but it's like in the very beginning, they decide to play basketball with these random folks, and they're trying basketball, and then Billy Crystal gets punched in the face, and then Greg says, "What are you doing to my friend? Huh? What are you doing?" Or Joe, when they grab Joe Pantoliano, they put him, and they're talking to some other people. When they come back, Joe Pantoliano has the CB, calling our calls, calling our calls. All of a sudden, he gets punched in the face, and they gotta go to the aunt's funeral. And then Billy Crystal, like Joe Pantoliano's like, I don't want to go to a funeral, guys, especially dressed like this. I don't want to go. And Billy says the line, "One rice prayer with you, and you get your own casket." Or there's a bit when they get mud, and it's like, well, you know what, we got the, oh man, that gun's pretty good. I don't know about my Smith and Wesson. And they shoot, and they fuck up the car. How did you miss all 6 shots? What are you talking about? I hit all 6 shots in the window. I hit the window 6 times. The movie lives and dies and breathes on the comedy between these two characters. Now, it does have the explosive. There's some decent action pieces. There's a interesting car chase where they get on the L train. You get some cool shots from either its point of view going on these railroad tracks. They're in a new undercover car, which is bulletproof, while Jimmy Smits is in a different car. It makes it a bit of a unique chase scene. One of my favorite bits of that is they're driving and there's a train coming at it. Hey, there's a train. And I think Gregory Hines says the line, he's just bluffing. And finally gets out of the way and yells back, you chicken shit. So you have that action piece. There's another one in the mall. You have some decent bits there where Billy Crystal's former girlfriend is kidnapped. They have to go save her. They each have like Uzis. And I like that it took place in a mall setting. Gregory Hines is rappelling down, swinging, shooting an Uzi. Billy Crystal, again, very rare. You get to probably the only time you get to see him as action guy. But I mean, sadly, there's not a whole lot of action per se that's memorable. I would say those two pieces are the ones that stick out the most. Also, while I did not mind Jonathan Grease and Steven Bauer, at the same time, I mean, he didn't go too much anywhere. It's kind of, they're just there. Like, there's a bit where, spoiler alert, they're trying to help these younger guys. and they raid this place. And there's a bit of a shootout, and Jonathan Grease accidentally shoots Billy Crystal in the chest, but they just have a bulletproof vest. Now Gregory Hines gets pissed at him for like 10 seconds, but then nothing ever comes of that. You think something more important, more serious would come of that, but no, not really. So I mean, I like those two actors. It's just, did you really need them? I don't think you really did need them. You know, even at the end of the film, they come in, but then they had saved our two characters earlier in the film, but now it's the payback where our two leads show what they're worth, and is able to save these two younger guys. So I mean, they're there in the background, and they're not bad or awful, so it's fine. But it's just, oh, the time period spent on them could have maybe another action scene or a bit more here and there. I don't know. Just one of those like all right parts to it. But I didn't even talk about like the other gist of the film is at one point they put on vacation, they go to Key West, and there's a bit where there's, what are these people looking at? Maybe someone died. Oh, we're looking at the sunset. That's it? Yeah, can you see it? Maybe we should try this thing out. Okay. And then they start enjoying that life. And they buy a bar. And it's like, we don't quit being cops. I like the line that Gregory Hines says, regular people suck. And then Billy goes, yeah, maybe they do, but they really get shot. So they implement a bit of, when they get back, it's basically Billy Crystal being a bit more careful. The bulletproof vest, bulletproof car. Not so much Gregory Hines. He's kind of acting a bit normal, but it's Billy. I wish that was even put even further. Hence the title Running Scared, that the both are more cautious. Both are more scenes of them being more protective, not being as gung-ho as they used to be. I wish they pushed that even further. And at the very end, I guess it's typical, but things work out. They save the girl, they shoot the bad guy, and then they decide, no, we'll still keep being cops. It's kind of hard for me to buy that with these guys. I still think it would have been better if they're like, should we still keep being cops? They'd cut to them in Key West enjoying the bar. Nah. I think that actually would have fit more with their characters. With what they've been through, I just don't buy them keeping as cops. That they would have said, fuck it, you know what? We did our job. We did our heyday. Now we're relaxing. But, I mean, these are little things that don't bother me that much. It's still a rather enjoyable film. It's just little things that popped in my head. But this is still, I would say, a bit underrated. Not really. You don't have a lot of people talk about the movie. I think it did eventually get a Blu-ray, which I don't have. I got the DVD. I don't know if there's any features. I remember reading some interviews that Billy Crystal was a fan of the movie. I forget where I read it, but I thought there was like a screening with him and Peter Hyams, and it was like his first big film, and he's like, you know what, if that pops on TV, I will sit down and watch, especially to see Gregory Hines. But I wish there was like a full-blown video interview of Billy Crystal talking about Running Scared. The only bit I saw is that on the Graham Norton show like a picture of Billy Crystal in shape with Gregory Hines, and then Billy Crystal talked about the film a bit. Like, that was the first big film I did, and he told a funny story that, back in the day, you would shoot guns as a kid, bang, bang, and this is the first time I ever used a gun. So we're doing a scene, and I felt good, and I shot, and then the director came up and said, hey, Billy, you don't have to go bang, bang. And he felt embarrassed, and at least that was the story he told on there. So I thought that was a fun bit. But yeah, I mean, it would be nice to hear his thoughts on the film. He seems proud of it, or a commentary. I don't know why they didn't get him for a commentary interview when the new Blu-ray came out. I don't understand, but what do I know? Because he did it for City Slickers, so it's not that he's not willing to do stuff like that. But yeah, this is a fun, underrated buddy cop film. Like I said, a lot of times it lives and dies on the chemistry of the two leads, and this had that. And apparently there was talks of doing a sequel. I forget the title, Still Steered or something like that, but a script could never be found to their liking. Which, maybe that's the best because you don't want a shitty sequel. On the flip side, maybe it could have been a fun sequel like Beverly Hills Cop 2. So, if it was still in the 80s, like 88, 89, I'd be curious of a sequel. But, it is what it is. I would say if you like action films, if you like buddy cop films, if you like Billy Crystal, it's easily worth a watch for all those reasons. So, and like I said, there's some nice funny bits. Like, there's a bit where they are talking to this person, but then behind the woman, this kid keeps giving Gregory Hines the finger, and Gregory Hines is just like, oh my god. Well, Billy Crystal's talking to the woman. Then when they close the door, Brady's like, I'll be right with you. Knocks on the door, and then when the kid's on there, Gregory Hines is like, yeah! It leaves. Those bits are what makes the film. Not really the plot. The plot is basic. And again, the action scenes are fine. I mean, they're not on the level of Lethal Weapon, I Come in Peace, Bad Boys films, but they're fine for what they need to be. But again, it's those two guys working together that makes the film work. And the songs were there. I mean, I wouldn't say I loved the song I didn't mind. I would say the song I liked the most, I forget the name of it, is when they're kind of getting back in check. And there's the image I see where the two are playing basketball again, they're doing well, and they do this kind of celebration move with each other. The music playing during that, I do like. The big song that became popular, I forget the name of it, Sweet Freedom, whatever it's called. I was kind of meh on the song. It's not awful, but it's not one I love either, and I'm like, It's no Heat Is On or Shakedown from Beverly Hills Cop 1 or 2. It's no Honeymoon Suite, Lethal Weapon. There's other songs and buddy movies that I do enjoy more. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.